Hi, I'm Josh Rushing, sitting in for Femi, and you are in the stream. Today, African hip-hop artists are considered some of the most socially conscious musicians on the scene. So what are they fighting for? Our digital producer, Malika Bilal, is here with me. And Malika, we're already hearing it. We've already started different.
Yes.
I like it.
It is taking all the willpower I have not to dance a little bit in my seat.
Give in. Just give in.
I want to. Well, the community has already given in. They are sharing with us what hip-hop means to them. Of course, it's universal, and this is something that our global audience can relate to. So I want to share a Facebook message. This one, a Twitter message. This is all the way from London. This person tweets in. His name is Yared. He says, it's about mobilizing people through sound. People are drawn together through music, and they create new values and new futures. Of course, we want to know what you think as well, what it means to you. Tweet us your questions, your comments with hashtag AJStream.
The stream isn't just a TV show. We're actually a community. And so we listen to each other. We talk. We go back and forth. And that means we want you to jump in. So check out our Google Plus page at the link below and share your story ideas. You could end up on our screen, just like these trending hashtags. Guns, money, women, that's what commercialized Western hip-hop has come to mean for many. But its beginnings were really different. They were actually grounded in social change. Now it's African artists who are staying true to the roots that really grew out of New York's urban neighborhoods. The continent is home to some of the most socially conscious hip-hop artists of today, with lyrics pushing for an end to corruption, better education, and a fix for AIDS. The rappers with us today are as much activists as they are musicians. So what difference are they making, and at what cost? All right, we've got a solid lineup to help us figure this out. With me on set is Mozambique's Mohamed Yaye of Native Son, which is dropping a new album in May. And joining us from DC is Mali's Amkulel, an award-winning hip-hop artist and one-time law student. Emil YX, a founder of the legendary South African hip-hop breakdancing group Black Noise. And a man who doesn't shy away from controversy, Jat, from the Senegalese group Kurgi. All right, welcome to all of our guests. Let's start it off right. How about Mohamed with some freestyle? Go for it.
Okay, let's go. Bismillah. I don't believe in politicians. Whenever they speak, they colonize your whole mind through a media siege, televise their own lies so you can swallow and see, then stop behaving like the monkey that they want you to be. Little puppets, wake up and start facing the truth. Our tax money spent on wars, they neglected our youth. Suppressing the truth, they lie in the news. That's why I spit that real every time in a booth. Check it, my enemy is not you, please hear me my brother, but the one who made the guns to kill one another. We carry straps and shot food cause the money is good, but tell me who flooded all the drugs in the hood. This world is nothing but a tester, empty mirage, a journey through the physical before meeting with God. So I educate myself to politics all around, and I'll never be surprised if the ship's going down.
I love bringing rap to Al Jazeera. I love it. All right, so who was that laughing over there? Was that Amkuel? You're next.
What?
It's your turn.
Okay,
How about some
no
freestyle?
problem.
Go for it.
Le peuple à la rage, on tue ses rêves, ne sait plus en quoi avoir foi. Le peuple à la rage, on tue ses rêves, ne sait plus en quoi avoir foi. S'il n'y a plus d'espoir, toujours la même chose. Soyez pas surpris si un jour ça explose. Regarde-moi, regarde mon Maliba. Tu fous quoi, mais pourquoi c'est comme ça? Chacun pour sa gauche technique, caméléon. Nouvelle religion, avoir des millions. Faible maillon, c'est la loi du talion. T'as des scrupules, crève, oh que c'est mignon. Nous avons trop attendu. J'en ai marre d'avoir la main tendue. SOS, SOS. On est en état d'urgence, c'est un SOS, SOS. Faut que ça change, SOS, SOS. On est en état d'urgence, c'est un SOS, SOS. Faut que ça change.
All right, I actually have some of that video that we can hear a little bit later on from the same song, SOS. All right, Chat, I want to go to you next.
Yo, cellule africaine de l'Elysée avec les réseaux Jacques Foccart. Ay clause non publiée imposée TikTokar. Dictateur encagoulé, conspiré, fàttewuñu ñobé, comploté. Sonn lañu France yobé, c'est bande de malfrats, deal, kill, coup bas. Les réseaux Pasqua, mafia, faux pas, la guerre de Biafra, les diamants de Bokassa, diplomatie secrète, blanchir Khalis Tipet, indépendance coup de bluff, coopération mat de œuvre, xeex yu muy ruumandaat, affaire malgache, Angola Gat, double jeu, double discours, couvre-feu fële ca Darfour, humilié la ci consulat, même pays, même constat, malice, milice, bain de sang, yaan me fële ca Libye, mani, mili, tali, largué, militaire, fële ca Mali, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go.
Time is up.
Nice. We're going to go to Emil, who looks way too young to be considered one of the godfathers of hip hop in Africa, but he is. Show us what you got, man.
Nou, Tom Khoisan, kijk terug jouw land. Kan het Tom van Khoisan verstaan? Kijk, je verstaan, die San behoort aan die land, maar die land kan niet gekoppeld worden, zo je beleer die land. Het vraagt die Kwasa en die Zulu, wie was eerst hier, die naam Kwasa en die klik zit die kooi aan hulle gegeven. Een kooi mean Kwasa angry looking man, elke klik in die Kwasa kom oorspronkelijk van die San. Boesman en Hotnotas gebruik om te beledig, maar ooral staan die rotskunst nog stevig. Power to the people.
Wow. All right, talking about power to the people. Let's begin with you, actually, since you were the last to go. Talk to us a little bit about what it was like to be an emerging hip-hop band, artist in South Africa, right when, say, Nelson Mandela was getting out, apartheid was coming to an end. How did you fit into the change that happened there?
Yeah, we come from a background of social justice and being involved in the UDF and the political movements in South Africa. So it was an easy flow from actually assisting in the voters' education. Unbeknownst to us, of course, that what we were getting into was just a signed agreement to get rid of all of our wealth into the hands of the same people that were in power during apartheid. And so a lot of the hip-hop artists also fell prey to the illusion of a democratic change in South Africa. And ultimately, find ourselves after the release of Nelson Mandela being faced with restrictions on what we can say in the general media just because of the idea of it's not in the spirit of reconciliation or reconning the silly nation, as a lot of the MCs would put it back then. So it was a shocking change for us. On the one side was the global euphoria of freedom, and on the other hand was the reality of the illusion of democracy without enough people understanding what their rights and and what was really going on in the country.
Emil, didn't you run into that kind of headlong with the song about who taught you to hate yourself? And then that's a line from an actual Mandela speech. Can you give us a bit of the story about the reaction to that song and what happened?
Yeah, we tried getting it played on the radio. They asked us which song you want to play from the CD. The CD is called Rebirth. And when we thought, hey, this is opportunity, let us play this track. They immediately after the song introduced, they came running down the station director and actually stopped the song from playing using that same excuse. And this is just one of many times that understanding that commercial radio dictates what gets said. And because it's commercial, it's about actually selling products and not necessarily about enlightening people about the fate of the masses of people in the country.
Right, and Emil, you mentioned resistance. Of course, that's how a lot of hip hop here in the United States got started. Hip hop as a genre recently celebrated its 40th anniversary in the US, but a lot of it has its roots in Africa. So that brings me to this tweet from Wit Wax. Mohammed, have a listen to this. American hip hop is inspired by an African oral and musical tradition, this person says. And African hip hop comes from American hip hop. So Mohammed, I know you were telling our producers ahead of the show that when you were younger and first starting out, you were looking at some of these American rappers who were wearing their Africa chains.
That's right.
And taking it back there. Tell us about how that resonated with you.
Well, for me, I was forced to flee my country, Mozambique, at the age of 2 during the Civil War, and I fled to Portugal. And growing up in Portugal in the 80s, it was an extremely racist place. I remember going to school and my sister, who was only 6 years older than me, she was constantly told that by the teachers that Africans were only 3/4 human beings. This is in the 80s in Portugal. So I couldn't go to any literature. I didn't have anything that available that educated me about African history, the history before slavery. So when hip hop came into my television screen and I saw people who looked exactly like me wearing these African pendants, and even though I couldn't understand what they were saying because they were speaking in English at the time, I could really appreciate and just connect with their energy. And they had this sense of pride that I had to embrace, and I was just proud that once now I'm seeing all these other children that are trying to imitate that, you know. So that gave me a sense of empowerment.
It makes me think about you. In American hip hop, I often see kind of two versions of Africa. There's an idealized Africa, and Chad, I'll aim this at you. And when I mean an idealized, kind of romanticized Africa, I'm thinking maybe like Nas and I Can Be Whatever I Want to Be, and the way he talks about Africa in that song. And then it's almost poverty porn from someone like Rick Ross, who goes back to Nigeria for what was that? Hold Me Back is that video. What is it like watching American hip-hop artists project what they believe about Africa back to Africa? What's it like to be an African and receive those different visions of it? Jack?
Yes, for me, I have like a problem with when people say that hip-hop is coming from US, first of all. Of course, start from in US, in the United States, but with who? People coming from Africa. For us, receiving hip-hop in Africa, it was like hip-hop was back in the motherland. So that's how we receive it. If you can see, like the rhythm we got it on, that's the same flow, that's the same nation, that's the same skills. But American hip-hop artists coming in Africa making video or shows, I can give a very specific example of the festival called Festman in Senegal, happened in 2011. That festival was supposed to be the festival of des Arts Nègres. There was a lot of American rappers who was in that festival, and they asked for a lot of money to the government of Senegal to come out there, and they call themselves African. They say they want to go back, found their own roots. So for me, it doesn't make sense. You can't ask to a government like Senegal, a poor government, a poor country, you ask them to pay you like $10 million to come over to make a concert, knowing that Africans, they like hip-hop, knowing that you claim yourself that you are African. So for me, that was a great opportunity for a lot of American rappers to show that they believe and they think really in Africa. And by the way, and we have an example like Akon saying and claiming that he's a Senegalese. He's in the kind of the behavior, in kind of participating in the society, how his work. He never produced any Senegalese hip-hop artist. He produced in Nigeria or in South Africa. For me, I think like it's fake. It's kind of fake for me personally. I have a lot of respect in a lot of artists here in the United States, like Nas, you just mentioned, like Common Sense, like Mos Def, like Talib Kweli, because about their lyrics, I can see there is something very, very, very intelligent, very smart. They more think about being a role model than being a star. So, which is the main problem of the hip hop industry. So for me, hip hop artists coming from US going to Africa and asking for money, that kind of money is just like a business, like making money.
Right.
But if the roots, the reality is, if they claim themselves like being African, they can come to Africa, make shows and contribute to kick out the malaria or kick out the polio or help people to have an employment or something like that. Yes.
Exactly.
Hey, Chad, I want to play one of your videos here. I have it on my laptop. This is, here you go. The whole premise of the show is that hip-hop has become more socially conscious in Africa than in the U.S. I'm looking at this very, very political message in the video. Is that a fair assessment of hip-hop in Africa? Is it used more in the political process?
I mean, first in 20 years old, 20 years behind, young Africans, they didn't have like the opportunity to say something, because traditionally they say, no, you are young, you can't talk. You don't have your word to say. And when hip hop come to Africa, people say, wow, you can do this and say what you think, say you believe, and participate in what's gonna be like the change, the social change. And the difference is pretty much the society, the kind of society we have, the kind of problem we have. For example, I can't come from Senegal and make a video showing naked lady or bling bling and talking about nonsense, because I know in my country that's not my reality. I have my own topic. I want to kick malaria out of my country. I want to kick poverty. I want to talk to the corrupt politician. I want to talk about the unemployment of youth. I want to talk about the non-educated people, to let them understand that we have a lot of problem in our. I want to talk about.
I hate to interrupt you, but what you said is really something that I'm seeing online. It's the talking about the reality in your country, and that's something that a lot of people are talking about. They want to see more of. So there's a video comment here from someone who talks about the biggest thing that he sees missing, that he wants to see. I want you all to have a listen to this video comment.
The issue of corruption, that is one of the things they have not yet tackled very, very well in their music. So that struggle for anti-corruption in Africa could receive a big boost from the hip-hop artists, and that is one of the issues they really need to focus their lyrical genius in.
So Kolal, he mentions corruption. We got a lot of tweets about that also, saying that's what needs to be focused on. You do focus on that. Tell us about some of those songs. Kolal?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. My second album, the name was Surafin. Surafin in Bamana means pot de vin, like corruption. So that's a problem that we have, like in Mali too, and in a lot of other African countries. But I think it's not only specific in Africa. But I think that, like Chad said, like the non-employment of the youth, it's very important to work on that. We have a lot of different issues, and people also need to feel safe and secure in their country. It's the situation that we were living in Mali, and we are still living now, because we had this military coup and also the problem in the north of the country. So corruption is there, but on the other hand, we really need also people who really love their country, love their people, and really try to make things change, because nobody will come to save us. And we cannot accuse anybody else for trying to destroy or spoil us or kill Africa, because we as African, we are the first responsible. And the one of us who has the chance and the opportunity to talk like today, we have the duty, I think, to talk about things that really matters. We can do songs about fun, party, being just creative for the love of art and music. I do that, but I also do what I think like it's a question of survival and to construct a better future for my children, for the next generation. I don't want my kids to be forced to have to travel to have hope in the future. The youth in Africa, it's not everywhere the same, because I want to be like, Africa is not like a poor continent, like with only bad things happening there. Because it's like, I'm a little bit schizophrenic when I'm saying that, because I don't want to share this bad image that we always talk about Africa, bad thing. There's a lot of good things happening in Africa, but most of the time we don't really show it. We don't really see it on the TV. So then you see yourself on TV, they talk about your continent, your country, and they say, you have nothing, you are nothing, you are poor. And you, at the end, you finish by believing it. You finish by thinking, yo, I'm nothing. But it's not true.
Hey, wait. But you put out an SOS here. I have the video. Check it out. Listen to this. All right, so my French is only so-so, but I'm getting that it's an urgency. There's an SOS. How does that match up with what you're saying there?
This SOS, I wrote this song 8 months before the military coup d'etat. So because we could feel in the air that something was going to happen in Mali. So I was talking about the frustration of the population, because every time we as a rapper in Mali and in West Africa in general, in Africa, engage artists, people come to us because they respect our work, our lyrics, and they know that they can like share their feeling through us. So they come to see us and say, this is happening, this is happening. So when you meet like 10, 20 people a day talking about the same thing, and they say, we feel that it's going to explode, you know, we have to do something, is the reason why I wrote SOS. It was before the military coup d'etat and the situation in the north of the country. But people were very frustrated. So, and then I said, if you don't take care of people, don't be surprised if one day it explodes. And it's what has happened. So this, talking about those issues, is like, I'm forced to talk about those issues, even though I don't want to spread that image around the world. But that's just the sad truth.
Emile, I see you nodding your head. You want to jump in. I want to know what you want to say, but I also want you to couple that with an answer to this tweet, because I have to get community and they want to join this conversation. Okay. JM says, does lyrical activism still hold as much weight as it did before? African youth, he says, are now more entertainment oriented. So your thoughts on that and what you wanted to add.
I wanted to say that what the guy just said is very important. We mustn't be fooled by pointing a finger at the other MCs or the ones who are speaking about what is about getting paid or being entertained, or that's the reality that they're faced with. And we need to carefully try and create our own media within Africa, because our voices will never actually get heard unless we have our own vehicles of expression throughout Africa to get those messages across. So kids aren't hearing the MCs and the songs that you're playing now, because the commercial power that exists, especially in places like South Africa, and the channels that have a reach throughout the whole of Africa, those channels are extremely powerful, and their messages are strictly commercial, pushing an international commercial agenda. So we don't have much control over that. And that's why a lot of these MCs you'll see have to go out to their communities in order for them to spread the message, which is you're fighting almost a losing battle, because daily these kids are exposed to media that is about what's the latest thing you can buy or sell, you know. And so that power, I think we need to also understand in order to really change it. You know, to point a finger at, like, you know, whoever's coming to your country from the US is not necessarily the one that's the problem. It's about us understanding that for us to change things in Africa, we need to find a vehicle of expression that isn't controlled from outside of the different parts in Africa. And South Africa is a prime example of this, because all the people that held the power, the gold, diamonds, the recent killings in Maracana because of Lonman, you know, nobody points a finger at that company that's from London, but they're pointing a finger at the South African government. So very carefully manipulating media for the benefit of the status quo throughout Africa. I mean, Africa fed the world its wealth, you know, and so we must realize that pointing a finger at each other or at the victims, we should be very careful about what that is, and also understand the size of this beast that we're up against, because it still exists throughout Africa, and it won't take its rope from around Africa's neck, because it still gets its wealth from Africa.
I want to get one more video in. We don't have very long. This is Native Son. Here we go.
Souls in a city of torment. My biggest enemy is the ego inside. Struggle every day not to keep him alive. So grateful for this wonderful life. Every breath is a blessing, I can't deny. There ain't no moment quite like the present. Remaining in stillness, connect to the essence. Speak with no words and smile with our eyes. Light up our hearts like candles at night. We all have a say in the choices we make, so we gotta take control in the path that we take.
All right, I actually don't have long for you to respond to this, but we're going to bring it up about positive messaging in rap. And I also want to bring up the idea of how you balance the social activism and commercial success as your careers move along. On our next show, so join us in the post show, we're going to talk about that. On the next show, growing up is difficult enough, but it's even tougher if you're a transgender youth. So when are they old enough to decide who they are? All right, until then, we'll see you online. All right, welcome back to the Stream's online post show. We're talking hip hop in Africa. So let's start freestyling again here. We've lost Emil from Black Noise, and if you're watching the main show on TV, the music that we came into the show and out of the show of, that was Black Noise. Sounded really great, so you can look that up online. And right before we went out of the show, we had just shown a clip of yours from a song called Census, and I wanted to talk to you about one, how effective are you with positive messaging in hip hop, and then two, are you able to find an audience for that? You know, and I guess for you, it's international. You're out of London.
Yeah.
So.
I think we, as lyricists, have a social responsibility. So it's important that we do have positive messages if we want to empower the youth. I mean, I personally do not like the state that the youth are in. So if I can only do whatever I feel I can do, and that's that. So I don't have another option but to be positive, or to try and be positive to empower the youth. And sorry, what was the second part of your question?
Well, you mean when we were in the main show and I said we want to talk about two things? We can kind of broaden that out, but I'm really curious, as you become more successful, it's one thing to like push off the idea of bling bling and I'm about social activism, but then once you start becoming more financially successful, how do you balance the two?
I've never had that problem because that's not my reality, like the brother said. That's not my reality. I remember where I come from, and I remember my aim and my goals and objectives, and I just stick to that. It's just as simple as that.
Well, I want to take this back to the community because they have lots of questions. So, of course, we're in our post show, and right before we entered our post show, we did have to lose Emil because he had a sound check, as Josh mentioned, a sound check for an event tonight here in Washington, D.C. So if you are here in the district and watching this show, check him out. Now, someone tweeted us about that event. SCZ says, you were all involved in the One Mic DC Festival. That's the name of the festival. What did you teach and what did you learn? Chat, I'll post that one to you. What have you learned being surrounded with other artists from all over the place?
I mean, for me, it was just great, you know. It's kind of experience to share, it's kind of reality to share. And yesterday night we were in the studio, have a whole song all together. That's just great, that's just nice. And for me, my responsibility is to show that in Senegal we have nice hip-hop, we have great hip-hop with great flows and techniques and skills, but we have something to say and something important to say to the world, to the world that, look, here this happened, but we are our own media. When you are a rapper, you have to be a media, because most of the media now, they're not reliable at all. So we can be the reliable media, the mirror of our society, to let people see themselves in what we're doing, in what we're saying, how people can capitalize, how people can find themselves in our messages. That's very important. The social responsibility, my brother just said. That's why I was very happy to be in that festival and to know that I'm not alone in that fight. There is a lot of activists, and people are stopping to do slacktivism, and now they are activists. And they're doing activism, and which is just great. And I meet a lot of people doing a lot of stuff in their home country, and we're gonna share some, some experiences, some strategies to change just the world. Yep.
Uncle El, do you agree with that? The idea that you are the media in your country?
I agree with Chat what he said, that when this opportunity given to us through Nomadic Wax to perform during this One Mic festival and to meet a lot of other artists, it shows us that we are not alone and we can be stronger, because I can go to Mozambique, I can go to South Africa, to Dakar, to Senegal. Senegal, I've been there a lot of times. It's like Chat is a brother. It's my family. Senegal and Mali, we are so close. And if I have the opportunity to go in a English-speaking country in Africa, because this is also like something very hard for us. West Africa, we speak French. So if I go there, I can work with them, so we can share our fight and share also people who are interested by socially engaged artists, lyricists, and creation.
Are you guys able to hear each other? Like in Mali, who are they playing on the radio for hip hop?
Excuse me?
Well, in Mali, who are you able to hear in terms of hip hop artists? Are they playing American artists? Are they playing African hip hop artists?
The first song that I heard and that introduced me to hip hop music, it was Public Enemy 911. So I knew about Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, Kool Moe Dee, Rakim, a lot of all those guys. After we switched to French hip hop because we started with all these American rappers after Vanilla Ice, Ice MC, and so to come to LL Cool J, etc. And now Jay-Z, Eminem, etc. So, and after the French hip hop started, and we started to follow IAM, MC Solar, NTM, etc. And after in Africa, for us in Mali, we have seen the scene of the hip hop in Senegal becoming big because they started the hip hop a little bit before us. So even though Chad, I like to sass him, he's my brother, but must admit the hip hop in West Africa started a little bit one day in Senegal before us.
Before everybody.
But we follow each other. Now it's like easier through the internet, even though the access to internet is not so popular yet because of a lot of economical and strategic reason. But we don't have we are not all equal in front of the access of internet, but we are trying to use it.
Well, I have a question, of course, being the only female on this panel today. Where are the female rappers? Do you know of any? Do you have any of those that are inspiring you in your country? Mohammed, I'll start with you because I know you're part of a duo.
That's right.
And a female is part of that duo. So
that's right. So I'm part of a duo. The other person in our group is not actually a rapper. She's a singer. Her name is Serena Leah, and she's a very talented artist. But if in UK, there's also a specific group that I really love called Poetic Pilgrimage, which are two Muslim women from Jamaica who live in UK. And if I go back to my country, there's rappers such as Yvette, which is one of my favorite female MCs. She's not just a great MC, but she's also a human rights activist, a human rights lawyer. She's an educator, and she's just a great role model for women. And I feel that that's something that we definitely need to have within the hip hop community.
Can I throw one of my favorite rappers is a woman, but she's out of Chile. Her name is Ana Tijoux, and she's playing at the Kennedy Center April 5th, I think, as a part of this entire series. Yeah, the One Mic thing. So Ana Tijoux, she has a song called Shock that's really great. Hey, Chad, I wanted to ask you, is it fair that we've been talking about Africa in this kind of broad way? I mean, how similar are your experiences there in West Africa with Emil's experiences down in South Africa?
Yes. I mean, in Africa, at the broadcast, you're talking about the media?
Yeah, well, we're just talking about African rap and how it's different there than the U.S. But
yes.
South Africa and Senegal are miles and miles apart, right? And speak different languages. Is it incorrect or is it too broad to speak about African hip hop and throw Emil and you kind of into the same barrel of apples there?
Yes. The African hip hop, for example, in Senegal, we speak our own language, Wolof, most of the time. We have like some couple of MC who speak English or who rap in French or stuff. But very early Senegal have hip hop. I can say that the first hip hop album in Senegal was in the 90s. So that was PBS and MC Lida, MC Solar. We had like hip hop very, very, very early in Senegal, and very early also. Rappers in Senegal start to be engaged, to change the way they were doing hip-hop, the way they're thinking about hip-hop, the way they're writing their lyrics. They were more involved in terms of being part of the society and playing their role in the society than doing mainstream hip-hop and stuff. But we still don't have like an industry. Like we don't have like the American scene, we don't have the American market, we don't even have the South African or the Nigerian one, because in terms of the population, they are million and million, and in Senegal we are just like 14 million. It's very different in terms of like the market, but we have a lot of festivals, we have a lot of private media, we have a lot of radio shows and TV shows, and it's very, very, very developed. We even have like a lot of school academy, hip hop academy. Like we have like over 5 hip hop academy in Senegal. So hip hop, we have like the streetwear, people have like their own studio, a lot of home studios, a lot of festivals going on, and
Sounds
hip
like
hop
we all
is
need to book a ticket to Senegal.
I know, right?
yes,
I'm on the
hip hop
next
is
one.
Mali
Senegal,
too.
right?
Mali for
Yes.
And Mali too.
no Mali is not that good because they still come to Senegal to record their album,
do
so
the-
it's not that good.
The
It's
West
not that
African
good.
hip hop tour is what we should do.
20 years ago.
All right, guys, look, I'm going to wrap it there. I want to thank you guys for being on. Go to our Storyfy page and find all these artists. Look them up. Check out their work on YouTube. Definitely want to thank Native Sons, Mohammed Yahya, for being here.
Thank you.
From Mozambique and from London. Mali's Amgulel, Emil YX from South Africa's Black Noise, and Chat from Senegal's Kyrgyz. So check all those out on our Storyfy page, okay? And on our next show, growing up is difficult enough, but it's even tougher if you're a transgender youth. So when are they old enough to decide who they are? Until then, we'll see you online at stream.aljazeera.com.